Most people don't realize this, but the moment you stop trying to be understood, something shifts. Not outside, inside. Your voice becomes calmer, your movements slower, your presence heavier, and people start reacting differently, even if they don't know why. Because the need to be understood is not innocent. It is a form of dependence. From childhood, we are trained to explain ourselves, to justify our choices, to soften our words so others feel comfortable, to clarify what we meant again and again until no tension remains. But here's the truth no one tells you. The more you explain yourself, the less power you have. Every explanation is a request. Every justification is a signal. Every attempt to be understood quietly says, I need your approval to stand where I stand. And people feel that instantly. You don't need to say it. You don't need to show it. It leaks through your tone, your posture, your timing. That's why the most influential people in any room are rarely the loudest. They don't rush to clarify. They don't argue to convince. They don't chase agreement. They speak once or not at all. And when they are misunderstood, they let it happen. This is where things become uncomfortable for most people, because being misunderstood triggers fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being judged, fear of losing control of how others see you. So the instinct kicks in. You explain, you defend, you correct the narrative. But every time you do that, you give away leverage. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how powerful silence feels when someone expects you to explain yourself? And you don't? Not rude silence, not aggressive silence. Calm silence. The kind that says, I know who I am. I know what I meant, and I don't need to convince you. That silence creates pressure, not on you, on them. Because now they are the ones filling the gap, interpreting, projecting, reaching. And this is where the shift happens. When you stop caring about being understood, you remove your emotional availability from the equation. You stop negotiating your identity. You stop managing other people's comfort. You stop shrinking your truth to fit their expectations. And people feel it as danger, not physical danger, psychological danger, because they can't pull you, they can't provoke you, they can't corner you into explaining. They lose access, and access is what most people rely on to control others. That's why calm, grounded, emotionally unavailable individuals are so difficult to manipulate. They don't argue. They don't overreact. They don't correct every misunderstanding. They observe. And observation is power. This video is not about becoming cold. It's not about arrogance. And it's definitely not about pretending to be mysterious. It's about something far more unsettling. It's about what happens when you stop handing people the keys to your inner world. Because once you do that, you don't need to be understood anymore. And when that need disappears, you become dangerous in a way that can't be attacked. The need to explain yourself doesn't come from clarity. It comes from fear. Fear that if others don't understand you, they won't accept you. Fear that misunderstanding means loss of control. Fear that silence will be interpreted as guilt, weakness, or failure. So you speak. You add context. You justify intentions. You try to manage perception. But here's the paradox. The more you explain, the more people question you. Because explanation places you beneath the listener. It positions them as the judge, the evaluator, the one who decides whether your reasons are good enough. And most people will never stop at good enough. They'll push, they'll test, they'll look for cracks, not because they're evil, but because humans are wired to probe for leverage. When someone senses uncertainty, they lean in. When someone senses self-trust, they step back. That's why confident silence feels intimidating. It removes the familiar pattern. There is nothing to debate, nothing to correct, nothing to pull apart. And that makes people uneasy. Think about how often arguments escalate not because of disagreement, but because someone keeps explaining. Each explanation invites a counter. Each justification creates a new angle of attack. Each clarification opens another door. Until you're no longer standing your ground, you're defending it. And defense is reactive. Power is not reactive. Power is still. This is why emotionally disciplined people speak less. Not because they lack thoughts, but because they don't need to externalize certainty. They don't need to convince. They don't need to win the narrative. They let outcomes speak. And here's something most people never realize. When you stop explaining yourself, others start explaining you. They fill the silence with their own assumptions, their own projections, their own insecurities. Some will see strength, some will see arrogance, some will feel challenged, some will feel threatened. And none of that is your responsibility. Because the moment you try to correct their interpretation, you step back into the trap. You re-enter the negotiation. Strong people don't negotiate their identity. They allow misunderstanding to exist without rushing to dissolve it. That doesn't mean they don't care. It means they care about the right things, their values, their direction, their internal alignment, not being liked, not being validated, not being comfortably understood. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If someone only respects you when you explain yourself, they never respected you in the first place. They respected your compliance. In the next part, we'll go deeper into what actually happens in other people's minds when you stop reacting, stop explaining, and stop correcting the story. Because that reaction, that loss of control, is not accidental. When you stop explaining yourself, something subtle breaks inside other people. Not externally, internally. Because most social interaction is built on predictability. People expect reactions. They expect clarification. They expect emotional signals they can read and adjust to. Silence disrupts that system. When you don't react the way they expect, their mind starts working overtime. They replay conversations. They reanalyze your tone. They question their own position. Because without your explanation, they lose certainty. And uncertainty makes people uncomfortable. Here's the part few are willing to admit. Many people don't want truth. They want reassurance. They want you to explain yourself so they can feel safe in their interpretation. So they don't have to doubt themselves. So they don't have to face the possibility that their assumptions are wrong. When you stay silent, you force them to sit with that doubt. Some respond by getting louder, more emotional, more aggressive. They provoke, they accuse, they push. Not because you did something wrong, but because they want you to react. A reaction gives them leverage. It gives them feedback. It gives them something to hold on to. Silence gives them nothing, and nothing is terrifying to an insecure mind. Others respond differently. They pull back. They become cautious. They soften their tone. Why? Because silence signals self-control, and self-control signals power. Not dominance, not aggression. Power. The kind that doesn't need to announce itself. This is why emotionally disciplined people are often described as intimidating even when they're calm. It's not their presence, it's their lack of need. They don't chase understanding, they don't chase approval, they don't chase resolution on someone else's timeline. They let things breathe, and in that space others reveal themselves. The insecure expose their need for control. The manipulative expose their tactics. The respectful adjust without being told. Silence becomes a filter. It shows you who needs you to explain yourself in order to feel superior, and who respects you even when they don't fully understand you. That distinction is priceless, because once you see it, you stop wasting energy on the wrong people. You stop arguing with those who only want reactions. You stop justifying yourself to those who never listened anyway. And you start conserving something rare: mental energy, emotional clarity, inner calm. In the next part, we'll talk about the moment when silence stops being a tactic and becomes part of who you are. When non-reaction is no longer something you do, but something you embody. That's where the real shift happens. At first, silence feels intentional. You are aware of it. You choose it. You hold yourself back. There is effort. You feel the urge to explain, to clarify, to correct the misunderstanding, and you resist it. This is the early stage. Silence as discipline. But if you stay here long enough, something changes. Silence stops feeling like restraint and starts feeling like alignment. You no longer pause to decide whether to react. The reaction simply doesn't arise, not because you are suppressing it, but because it no longer defines you. This is the shift most people never reach. They think non-reaction is about control, about holding emotion down, about being strong. That's not it. Control is exhausting. Identity is effortless. When silence becomes identity, there is no internal struggle, no debate, no tension. Your nervous system stays regulated even when pressure appears. Words don't rush forward. Emotion doesn't spike. You remain centered, automatically. And this changes how the world treats you. People feel it before they understand it. They slow down when they speak to you. They choose words more carefully. They hesitate before pushing, not because you demanded respect, but because your presence communicates boundaries without language. This is emotional gravity. Most people live in reaction. They are pulled outward by every stimulus, messages, opinions, expectations. Their attention is fragmented. Their energy leaks constantly. You are no longer playing that game. Your attention stays inside your control. And attention is power. When you don't react, you don't give your attention away for free. You don't validate chaos. You don't reward provocation. You become selective, and selectivity increases value. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. Some people will dislike you for this, not openly, subtly. They will say you are distant, cold, hard to read. What they really mean is this: you no longer give me emotional access, and that loss feels threatening, because emotional access creates influence. When you remove it, the influence disappears. This is why silence often triggers stronger reactions at first. You broke a pattern. They were used to your availability, your responsiveness, your emotional participation. Now there is a gap, and people hate gaps. They rush to fill them with questions, with pressure, with assumptions. You do nothing, and that nothing does something profound. It forces them to adjust or retreat. Either way, you learn. Silence clarifies hierarchy. Those who respect boundaries adapt. Those who relied on control resist. You stop guessing who belongs in your inner circle. The work is done for you. And here's the paradox. The more silent you become, the more weight your words carry. When you finally speak, people listen. Because your voice is no longer noise. It is signal. In the next part, we'll talk about why silence collapses manipulation and why people lose leverage over you the moment you stop reacting. Control is rarely taken by force. Most of the time it is given. Given through reaction. Given through urgency. Given through emotional response. People gain leverage over you the moment they learn how to move you. A raised voice, a loaded message, a subtle insult, a sense of urgency. If you react, they learn something. They learn your trigger. And once a trigger is known, it can be used again. This is how emotional control works, not through domination, but through predictability. Most people are predictable. Criticize them and they defend. Ignore them and they chase. Pressure them and they rush. Each reaction confirms the pattern, and patterns are exploitable. When you stop reacting, the pattern breaks. Suddenly, they don't know what works. The usual tactics fail. The tone that used to provoke you now meets stillness. The urgency that used to rush you now meets patience. The disrespect that used to pull emotion now meets silence. And silence is unfamiliar territory. People rely on emotional feedback to orient themselves. They need your reaction to know where they stand. Anger tells them they hit something. Defense tells them they affected you. Explanation tells them they matter. Silence tells them nothing. And that absence of feedback is destabilizing. So they escalate. They talk more. They repeat themselves. They push harder. Not because they are strong, but because they are losing leverage. This is the moment where control shifts. You are no longer responding to their behavior. They are reacting to yours. Your stillness becomes the variable, and unpredictability creates imbalance. Now understand this clearly. This is not manipulation. You are not trying to control them. You simply removed yourself from being controlled. Control requires participation. Without reaction, there is nothing to grip. Most emotional manipulation depends on speed, fast replies, instant justification, immediate emotional discharge. Silence slows everything down, and when speed disappears, clarity appears. The manipulator is exposed. They reveal impatience. They reveal insecurity. They reveal intent. Because when nothing comes back, their inner state surfaces. You gain information without giving any. This is why silence is powerful, not because it dominates, but because it observes. The disciplined mind understands this. It does not rush to correct misunderstandings. It allows others to reveal themselves fully. And here is the rule few people understand. The person who needs the reaction has already lost power. If someone needs your anger, they are weak. If someone needs your explanation, they are unsure. If someone needs your urgency, they are unstable. The calm individual needs nothing, and needlessness is authority. This is why emotionally disciplined people feel dangerous to those who rely on control. They cannot be rushed. They cannot be provoked. They cannot be guilted into reaction. Their nervous system is no longer available. In the next part, We will go deeper into why silence feels threatening to others and how emotional distance creates psychological dominance without aggression. Silence is not neutral to the human mind. It is interpreted, and most often, it is interpreted as power. When you do not react, people do not experience calm. They experience uncertainty. Uncertainty is uncomfortable. The human mind craves feedback. It wants confirmation. It wants orientation. It wants to know where it stands. Reaction provides that. Silence removes it. And when feedback disappears, the mind begins to spiral. They start asking questions internally. What does this mean? Did I go too far? Why isn't this working? Did I lose influence? Silence forces self-reflection, and most people avoid self-reflection. They would rather provoke a reaction than sit with uncertainty. This is why silence feels aggressive to insecure minds, not because you attacked, but because you refused to participate. Participation is comfort. Silence is exposure. When you stop reacting, you remove the emotional mirror people rely on. They can no longer regulate themselves through you. Your anger used to validate their presence. Your defense used to confirm their impact. Your explanations used to reassure them. Now, there is nothing. And nothing feels like rejection. But it is not rejection. It is boundary. This is where most people misunderstand emotional discipline. They think silence is avoidance. It is not. Avoidance is fear. Silence is containment. You are not running away. You are standing still. And standing still when someone expects movement creates psychological pressure. Pressure they cannot control. This is why people escalate when silence appears. They raise their voice. They repeat the same point. They introduce urgency. They try guilt. They try sympathy. Each escalation is a test. Each test asks the same question. Can I still move you? When you do not respond, the answer becomes clear. And that clarity threatens them, because once they realize they cannot move you, they must face their own lack of control. Now here is something important. Silence does not threaten confident people. It only threatens those who rely on influence. People who are secure do not need reaction. They respect space. They accept boundaries. They do not push. But insecure people panic in silence. They feel invisible. They feel powerless. They feel irrelevant. So they try harder. And the harder they try, the more they expose themselves. This is why disciplined silence creates dominance, not by overpowering others, but by allowing imbalance to reveal itself. You do not need to say, "I am not affected." Your lack of reaction already says it, and that message is loud. In the next part, we will explore how non-reaction reshapes social hierarchy and why calm people naturally rise while reactive people exhaust themselves. Power is not declared, it is assigned, and it is assigned unconsciously. Every social environment has a hierarchy, even when no one talks about it. Who speaks first? Who explains? Who waits? Who reacts? Who stays composed? These signals decide position long before logic enters the room. The mistake most people make is believing power comes from dominance, from asserting, from interrupting, from proving. That behavior does not create power. It reveals insecurity. True power comes from who adjusts to whom. Watch closely. When someone reacts emotionally, they adjust to the situation. When someone stays calm, the situation adjusts to them. This is the hidden mechanism. Reactivity is submission to stimulus. Non-reaction is command over tempo, and tempo decides hierarchy. The fastest reactor is never the leader. They are busy, they are loud, they are visible, but they are controlled. The slowest responder often becomes the reference point. Others wait for their reaction. Others check their posture. Others lower their tone. Not consciously, biologically. Human nervous systems seek regulation, and the most regulated nervous system becomes the anchor. This is why calm people are often described as intimidating, even when they say very little. They are not intimidating. They are unreadable. Unpredictability without chaos creates authority. Because people cannot anticipate you, they cannot manipulate you. Now consider what happens in a group when one person stops reacting. At first, nothing obvious. Then subtle changes. People hesitate before speaking. They choose words more carefully. They stop pushing boundaries casually. Why? Because the usual feedback loop is broken. Their jokes no longer land. Their pressure no longer works. Their emotional leverage disappears. And without leverage, they must recalibrate. This is how hierarchy shifts quietly. Not through confrontation, not through argument, but through emotional refusal. The disciplined individual does not fight for rank. They withdraw from emotional competition, and competition collapses without participants. Others continue playing, but alone. Eventually, they stop. Now observe something critical. Reactive people constantly reveal their position. They reveal what bothers them, what they fear, what they want acknowledged. This information is power. The disciplined mind reveals nothing unnecessary. No emotional tells, no urgency, no defensiveness. This asymmetry changes everything. One side is exposed, the other is contained. Contained people are trusted, not because they explain themselves, but because they are stable. Stability creates gravity. Gravity pulls attention. Attention follows leadership. This is why calm individuals often rise without campaigning for influence. They do not seek authority. Authority settles on them. In the next part, we will break down why explanation weakens position and how silence after action creates irreversible authority. Most people believe explanation creates clarity. They think that if they explain themselves well enough, they will be understood, respected, accepted. This belief quietly ruins authority, because explanation is not neutral. Explanation is a request. It asks for agreement. It asks for validation. It asks for permission to stand where you already stand. And the moment you ask, position shifts. Power never explains itself. It acts and lets reality adjust. Look carefully at how authority operates in the real world. High-status individuals do not narrate every decision. They do not justify their boundaries. They do not defend their pace. They move, and movement closes discussion. Explanation reopens it. The more you explain, the more surface you expose. Every sentence creates an opening. Every justification invites challenge. Every clarification signals doubt. Reactive minds look for these cracks instinctively, not because they are malicious, but because hierarchy is negotiated emotionally, not logically. When you explain yourself, you tell others your position is negotiable, and negotiable positions are tested. This is why people who over-explain are interrupted more, challenged more, pushed more. They taught others to push. The disciplined mind understands this early. It speaks after decision, not during hesitation, and often it does not speak at all. Silence after action is finality. It tells the nervous system of everyone watching, this decision is complete. No emotional residue, no defensive tone, no invitation to argue, just alignment. Most people fear this silence. They rush to fill it. They explain why they were late, why they chose differently, why they said no, why they changed direction. They fear being misunderstood more than they value authority. But authority does not need to be understood. It needs to be consistent. Consistency trains perception. Over time, people stop asking why and start adjusting behavior. This is how power stabilizes. Not by convincing, but by refusing to debate settled ground. Now notice something subtle. Explanation feels polite. Silence feels cold. This is why reactive people confuse discipline with arrogance. But silence is not arrogance. It is self-trust. The disciplined individual does not need others to confirm the correctness of their choices. If the choice is wrong, they adjust privately. If it is right, they continue. No announcement, no defense, just trajectory. This removes emotional dependency, and emotional independence is threatening to those who rely on influence. Because influence needs engagement. Silence withdraws engagement without hostility. That is what makes it powerful. In the next part, we will examine why emotional withdrawal causes others to unravel, and why people react strongly when they can no longer read you. Most people do not react when you speak less. They react when you feel less. When your emotional availability disappears, something unsettling happens. Not to you, but to them. Because emotional access is currency. And when that currency is removed without explanation, those who relied on it feel a sudden loss of control. They were used to your reactions, your reassurance, your engagement, your emotional participation. Your withdrawal breaks the pattern, and broken patterns expose dependency. This is why people become uncomfortable when you suddenly become calm. They ask questions disguised as concern. Is everything okay? Why are you so quiet? Did I do something wrong? These are not questions seeking clarity. They are attempts to restore access. Emotional access allowed them to regulate themselves through you. Your reaction stabilized them. Your engagement validated them. When that disappears, anxiety rises. Here is the truth most people never admit. Some people need you reactive so they can feel stable. When you stop reacting, you force them to confront themselves. And most people avoid that at all costs. So they escalate. They raise their tone. They increase pressure. They provoke emotion, not because they are strong, but because they are losing leverage. Notice the pattern carefully. The moment you do not react, the other person begins to talk more. They explain themselves. They justify behavior. They reveal motivation. You say nothing, and information pours out. This is not manipulation. This is what happens when emotional regulation is no longer outsourced. The disciplined mind understands this. It does not rush to reassure others. It does not absorb emotional overflow. It allows discomfort to exist without rescuing it. That alone restores enormous energy. Energy previously lost to explanation, validation, reaction. With this energy comes clarity. You begin to see patterns clearly. Who only contacts you when they need something? who becomes anxious when they cannot read you, who reacts negatively to your calm. This information only appears when you stop reacting. Reactive people never see it because they are too busy participating. Now understand something important. Withdrawing emotional access is not cruelty. It is boundary. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions. When you stop doing it, you reclaim yourself. And this feels threatening to those who benefited from your availability. That threat is not your responsibility. It is their adjustment to reality. Most emotional manipulation is unconscious. People push because pushing worked before. They escalate because escalation got results. When results disappear, confusion appears. And confusion exposes fragility. This is why calm individuals are often labeled cold. Not because they lack empathy, but because they refuse emotional dependency. Empathy without boundaries becomes self-erasure. The disciplined mind does not erase itself for comfort. It remains present, but not absorbent. That difference changes everything. In the next part, we will uncover how non-reaction reshapes social hierarchy, why calm people rise without competing, and how silence quietly reorganizes power. There is a moment when something irreversible happens. You are no longer trying not to react. You are no longer reminding yourself to stay calm. You are no longer holding anything back. Reaction simply stops owning you, and when that happens, your position changes everywhere. Most people believe social position is built through dominance, assertion, or constant presence. This is false. Position is not taken. It is assumed. And it is assumed by the person who adjusts the least. When you stop reacting, people begin to adjust to you. Not consciously, not intentionally, instinctively. They slow down when speaking to you. They choose words more carefully. They hesitate before escalating emotion. They wait. This is not respect you asked for. It is respect your nervous system demanded. Hierarchy always forms around emotional stability. The most reactive person in any environment is never in control. They may be loud. They may dominate conversation. They may appear influential. But they are easy to move, easy to provoke, easy to rush, easy to destabilize. The least reactive person becomes the reference point, not because they compete, but because they do not. They are not fighting for position. They are anchored, and anchoring reorganizes space. This is why calm individuals rise without effort. They do not interrupt. They do not over-explain. They do not assert dominance. They simply do not move when others try to push. And pressure always reveals structure. Now, observe what happens in group dynamics. When someone tests boundaries, a subtle jab, a mild disrespect, an emotional probe, reactive people fail immediately. They defend, they explain, they show emotion. The test escalates. The disciplined mind does nothing. No defense, no reaction, no explanation, just continuity. That continuity sends a signal. This exchange is not available, and most people stop. Not because they lost, but because they found no leverage. This is how non-reaction establishes rank, quietly, without conflict, without ego. Every moment you do not react, your position rises slightly. Every moment you react impulsively, it drops. Over time, these micro-shifts compound. People begin waiting for your response. They defer without being asked. They adjust pace without instruction. And you did nothing except remain unmoved. This is the paradox. Power grows as effort disappears. You are no longer managing perception. You are no longer correcting misunderstanding. You are no longer competing for clarity. Your presence does the work. Now understand this deeply. You did not become distant. You became self-contained. You did not withdraw from life. You withdrew from emotional transactions that weakened you. And once this happens, something final locks in. You stop wondering whether you should respond. You stop calculating how you will be perceived. You stop negotiating your internal state with the external world. Reaction no longer feels tempting. It feels inefficient. And inefficiency is obvious to a disciplined mind. This is the final shift. Non-reaction is no longer a tactic. It is your posture. Silence is no longer a decision. It is your default. Calm is no longer situational. It is structural. At this point, the world loses control, not because you resisted it, but because there is nothing left to pull. Pressure has no grip. Provocation has no hook. Urgency has no authority. You move deliberately. You speak selectively. You act without emotional noise, and everything around you recalibrates. This is not dominance over others. This is sovereignty over yourself. And self-sovereignty is the highest form of power there is. You are no longer reacting to life. You are directing it. There is a point where the struggle ends. Not because life becomes easier. Not because people stop testing you. Not because pressure disappears. But because nothing reaches your center anymore. This is the moment most people never arrive at. They understand non-reaction intellectually. They admire it from the outside. They quote it. They talk about it. But they never become it. Because becoming it requires losing something they are addicted to. The need to be seen. The need to be understood. The need to be validated. The need to win the moment. Non-reaction demands that these needs die, and that feels like death to an untrained mind. At first, silence feels like weakness. At first, calm feels like surrender. At first, not responding feels like losing. But then something shifts. You realize that nothing bad happens. No catastrophe, no collapse, no loss of identity, only space. And in that space, something powerful forms. You stop explaining yourself. Because explanation was never about clarity. It was about permission. You stop defending your choices. Because defense was never about truth. It was about fear of judgment. You stop reacting to provocation. Because provocation was never about you. It was about someone else needing control. And suddenly, the world feels quieter. Not externally, internally. Your nervous system stops scanning for threat. Your mind stops rehearsing conversations. Your body stops bracing. Energy returns. Not explosive energy, stable energy. The kind that compounds. This is when people begin to feel something around you they cannot name. You are not distant, but you are not available. You are not cold, but you are not reactive. You are not dominant, but you are not movable. They test you less. They rush you less. They provoke you less. Not because you demanded respect, because respect no longer requires enforcement. Your calm does the work. At this stage, silence becomes heavy. Not awkward silence. Authoritative silence. The kind that makes others speak carefully. The kind that makes urgency lose power. The kind that exposes emotional games without confronting them. You are no longer participating in chaos, and chaos cannot survive without participation. This is the truth most people never learn. The world only controls what it can disturb. When disturbance disappears, control disappears with it. Not control over others, control over you. You are no longer governed by emotion, no longer governed by urgency, no longer governed by approval, no longer governed by fear. You feel, but feeling does not move you. You hear, but noise does not command you. You decide, without needing agreement. This is not detachment from life. This is full presence without submission. You are here, you are aware, you are engaged, but you are not pulled. And once this becomes identity level, it is permanent. You cannot unsee how people try to rush you. You cannot unfeel how reaction drains power. You cannot return to emotional dependency. Because now you know, reaction was never strength. It was exposure. Silence was never weakness. It was leverage. Calm was never passivity. It was dominance without force. This is why disciplined people do not announce their strength. They do not need to. The world adjusts around them. You have crossed the threshold. From reaction, direction. From noise, structure. From chaos, sovereignty. And once you reach this point, one truth becomes undeniable. Nothing external can hurry you. Nothing external can provoke you. Nothing external can own you, because you are no longer reacting to life. Life is responding to you. That is what happens when they lose control, and you gain it by doing nothing at all.